All right. Hello and welcome to the July 31st, 2023 meeting of the Clackamas County Local Public Safety Coordinating Council. I'm Dylan Blaylock with Clackamas County Public Affairs, and I will be coordinating public comment for this meeting. An agenda of this meeting, along with a draft report to be discussed, is available online. I will drop that link in the chat now. Public comment is slated to be taken at the end of the meeting. Per the agenda, this will not be until around 1:20 p.m. or so, although it could be earlier depending on how the meeting unfolds. If there are any comments or questions from the public, I will instruct you then on how to pose them. And with that, we'll get started. Chair McDonald, see you in a bit.
Thank you, Dylan. Thank you, everyone, for making it here. I appreciate it. I know we're in that summer season. A lot of people on vacation, so let's get going. Our couple things for the agenda that we need to get approval on. First is just going to be consent agenda for the approval of the minutes for May. Elizabeth sent those out, so there should be an opportunity if everyone has had to read them. We could kick that off. I just need a motion approving them in a second.
I so motion.
Second. In a second. Thank you. Any objections to the minutes? Hearing none, they will be moved forward. And all right, we'll get to my item. We are closing out with our final progress report for this biennium for our criminal justice reinvestment program. The report went out. Hopefully everyone has had a chance to just review that. Really similar in what we've been reporting. I think I'd like to highlight a couple areas and for us to just be aware of the impact of the Senate Bill 48 and the PJ presiding judicial order regarding pretrial and its impact to what we're seeing with forced releases from the jail, as far as highlighted in the report. I think is an area to kind of be aware of and watch as we move forward. I think on the pretrial program, we are going to see some changes. I know last meeting we talked about our justice reinvestment grant application, which continues pretrial, but the courts have received funding for pretrial release officers. I think I'm calling that correctly. So we'll be doing some work with the courts and how that will impact our program, or we may need to pivot if this program isn't need to be utilized in the same way moving forward, but I'll continue to keep LPSC updated on that. Those are just areas to be aware of, but I would like, when we see forced releases increasing by 6.5%, that's something to be mindful of. But we'll continue to have these reports. We'll do another report that'd be close to the end of the year or the beginning of the new year and see if that continues. I would like to highlight that our CSAP program continues to do well, even coming out of the pandemic. I think you highlighted in the report for looking at 22 to 23 results for those that graduated with that first year with no recidivism, both men and women. We're continuing to try to up the numbers. I think across the board for adults on supervision, we're seeing a far reduction in the number of women on supervision, so that reduces the pool that we have to select from, and still a reduction in the number of men too, or those that are kind of meeting that balance of are justice involved enough, but not so much that they're resulting in a new prison sentence and meet the criteria from the program, kind of both from I think a DA's perspective and from our programmatic perspective. We try to focus on those that are the highest at risk, but still good results, and we're continuing to make progress in building our numbers in the program. Overall, I think we saw recidivism rates statewide from the most current data are showing positive in Clackamas County, but I still think there's a lot of data out there that we haven't seen and the impacts of the pandemic and everything that happened moving forward, and that we still need to reflect on and kind of see what time tells as we move forward. But overall, I think we have good programs. I think, like I talked about in our last meeting, we'll continue them. We'll see CSAP continue. We'll see our short-term transitional leave continue. That finally is kind of returning to normal operations after the pandemic and having our residential programs return to normal. So I'm looking forward to more data, more reflection as we're at what I'll consider our traditional operating levels. And pretrial may have to adapt some, and we may have to look at how to utilize the funding in a different way, depending on how the court is able to hire. I think they have a total of 10 positions, and how that will meld with our pretrial program, the jail, and the courts overall. So kind of my wrap up of it. We'll open for questions or comments from the members. Christina?
Malcolm, when is the Justice Reinvestment application due this time around?
It was in a two-part. For the initial that we brought on Lipsick, and then we got some feedback from the commission. We're working on, so the end of September is the timeline for that.
Oh, okay. So you're looking at bringing us back together sometime in September to approve the application? I think we usually look at it ahead of time, right?
Oh, so we went through that process. We had to do the approval process for the initial application.
Yeah.
Which already happened. There's no significant changes to what we were applying for. There's just some feedback we're working on to provide them, but unless there were going to be a significant change to what we were utilizing the funding for, there wasn't a need to bring it back to Lipsick at this point.
Okay, yeah, I was just curious because of the Oregon Judicial Department funding you mentioned. I didn't know if that that kind of came through at the end here, but I didn't know if that would change the application because of the interplay between our pretrial and what they're going to be doing. Maybe you decide to use the money differently.
Yeah, not yet. We'll have to continue operating as we have been. I think it'll take a while for those positions to get hired, and the presiding and jail commander and pretrial to kind of work through what those changes or impacts may be. I'd be surprised if we see anything in the first year. But the jail commander and I are already talking about, like, we may need to pivot and come up with some concept, or there may just still be a role for our monitoring side of it also. So more to come on that.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for clarifying that.
Any other hands raised? Well, if there's no further questions, I do need a motion to approve the progress report. And then a second.
Chair, I move that we approve the progress report.
Thank you, Commissioner West. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Bruce Tarbucks, for the second. Any discussion? No discussion. Is there any oppositions to the January to June 2023 Justice Reinvestment Progress Report for Clackamas County? No oppositions. It'll move as passing. Thank you all for getting another one of my items I bring to Lipsick. And we'll have more to come in September, but agenda items. I do want to jump into work we've been doing and some requests for Lipsick's time coming in the first week of October. We've been working on the capacity building grant that the Criminal Justice Commission provided us. PSU and the National Policy Consensus Center has been working with me and Elizabeth on putting the groundwork. As you all are familiar, they came the prior year with funding I received and worked with each of the LIPSIC members and LIPSIC as a whole to build a kind of action plan, and we're continuing that work. With the first really phase in this is to get LIPSIC together for a half-day session in person, and that's looking at that October timeframe to discuss our priorities, discuss what we want to, and really see what LIPSIC's role in Clackamas County will be, and also a discussion on data and the makeup of LIPSIC, what it's written in our bylaws as today, and whether we want to change those. It's kind of some of that high level, but it's important work that we want to do with the justice system in Clackamas County in a perspective from equity and who is maybe overrepresented in our justice system locally. But so a lot of those conversations also surround the need to have the adequate view with data across the board. And I think I'll put it as that 30,000 foot view and kind of our prior conversations. So that is a request that when Elizabeth sends out individuals' availability in that first week of October, that we get responses and a commitment to kind of make that time so we can have that facilitated time together. There'll be other in-person meetings that will build off of this, but we can do some more work and discussion about what those will look like in our first meeting. My second request will be for September's LIPSIC, setting a date to meet in person again. I'll be presenting the Community Correction Biennial Plan, outlining how the community corrections dollars that come to Clackamas County will be spent. And those dollars are primarily spent in two areas: the supervision of adults here in Clackamas County for funded cases by the state, so all felonies and certain misdemeanors, and primarily going to our CSAP and residential program. Those are the two primary areas, but there'll be, the plan will highlight on a high level of how we spend those dollars on the supervision again and the programming we offer. And in our sense here, Clackamas County CSAP is a treatment program that we focus a lot of those dollars to also. So that I'm statutory required to go to LIPSIC first, and then it will go to the Board of Commission for final approval, and then we'll enter into an IGA with the state of Oregon like we do every 2 years. I don't believe we'll have any other items. Well, no, we do, excuse me. We have the 10% out of the Criminal Justice Commission Justice Reinvestment Program, 10% goes to victims. And we had a competitive process, and that a few of the members and some outside individuals, along with Elizabeth White, reviewed applications from, I believe, 4 community nonprofits. And I believe, Elizabeth, correct me if I'm wrong, it's our same nonprofits from the prior year applied.
Correct, and we will have, I think Mary might be available to present the findings of that review panel, and then LIPSIC will listen to that and decide if they agree with those findings.
So those funds go to specifically community nonprofits in our community. It's a competitive process, and so those are 2 items for September. But I would appreciate everyone's flexibility in the in-person part of that. So Elizabeth will be sending out kind of some requests for times, sometimes after the Labor Day weekend in September, after when we kind of get all our kids off to school, off to college, all the various things that happen there, and back from summer break for an in-person meeting. Likely, I'm going to guess in the past, we've done those in DSB or PSB. We found a room to host those. So more work on that. So that's my request of LIPSIC making that time. And Elizabeth and I will work on a set kind of schedule for generally in the past pre-pandemic, we had 4 set times of years that we met, and sometimes we had additional, but try to create those times often based around, because community corrections and justice reinvestment have specific requirements for LIPSIC approval, and juvenile has also has the need for LIPSIC approval on 1 or 2 items. So we'll try to coordinate, and while Christina, we'll have Elizabeth reach out to you so we kind of have a good idea of timelines. So for the most part, moving forward, we'll have a set time everyone can have on their schedule and adapt if we need to throw an extra one in. A lot of words, follow-up questions for me, feedback, go for it. Right.
Malcolm,
Yes, Christina.
the facilitated conversation related to the capacity building grant.
Yep.
I'm sorry if I didn't catch it before. How long of a session of us meeting in person on that? I think you said in person on that one too.
Yeah,
right?
I think we're looking for a 4-hour block.
Okay. Thank you.
I will have, Elizabeth will be able to get the time out there for everyone so we can lock it in. All right. Well, I appreciate everyone making today work and making it happen. I look forward to September and a chance for us to be in a room together and likely have additional dialogue. I think it's helpful for us with the impact and where we all sit in the justice system to have that kind of additional conversation before and after. So look forward to it. Anyone else have anything else before we open up to public comment? All right, Dylan?
Ready, very good. I see we do have members of the public watching, so now is the time for public comment. If you're a member of the public and you have a comment to make or a question to ask, please use the raise hand function on Zoom. That could be on the top or bottom of your Zoom screen and device, just depending on your device. If you're on the phone, we don't have anybody on the phone. So go right ahead. You can go ahead and hit the raise hand function now if you'd like to go ahead and make a comment. Seeing no comments, Chair.
All right. Well, with that, we will adjourn and let everyone get back to their day and have a little bit of time for lunch. Thank you, everyone, again for making it work today, and have a great afternoon.
Thank you.
Thanks. See you next time.